churches should be taxed. And I think this will fix part of the problem with the separation of church and state, to which America does not abide by. After the video I posted about Pastor Hibbs and his lying to the Senate, to Congress, as far as his prayer was concerned, I thought about the fact that churches should definitely be taxed in order for us to really have a separation between church and state. Let me give you the criteria for why a church should be taxed. Now, as far as charitable donations that churches receive from its parishioners in tithes and offerings, that amount of money shouldn't be taxed. I'm all for that. You give to charities, those charitable dollars should not be taxed. But when a church engages in politics, meaning that they invite politicians in, and the politician speaks about politics, when the politician is pandering for the votes of people, then that church should lose its tax exemption, because that church is not maintaining the separation between church and state. So they should lose their tax exemption, period, when they do that. That will prevent politicians from being able to utilize the church and co-opting a person's religion in order to gain votes. Get your votes based on your own merits, not on the merits of religious belief. When a pastor engages in telling a person who they should vote for, or who God would vote for, that church should then lose their tax exemptions as well. They should not be able to, a pastor who is a religious leader who has people in his hand should not be able to persuade them as to who they should vote for while they're standing in the pulpit. Now, if that pastor's on his social media, his or her social media, and they're doing that, and they're talking about politics, sure. But if they're talking about politics and religion, the church should lose their tax exemption. Now, another more complicated way that churches should have to pay taxes: when a church takes its money, put it in a bank, and with the amount of money that many of these churches put into a bank, they earn hella interest on their bank statements in their bank account. They earn hella interest on investments that the churches are making in the stock market or in mutual funds, hedge funds. Those funds should also be taxed. I'm not sure if they are taxed, but I believe that they're not taxed. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but if a church is making money off of investments and making interest, gaining interest on their money that they got from their parishioners, that interest and the dividends that they're making should be taxed. If a church owns property outside of church use facilities, then those properties and the money gained from those properties should be taxed. There is absolutely no reason why a church should be able to buy plazas to open up businesses in the church name, and yet they're not taxed. Even if it's a bookstore, you're selling books, you should be paying taxes on those profits. So churches should be taxed for those things. Now, those are just a few examples of when a church should be taxed and when a church should lose their tax exemptions. But I'm really curious to see what you guys think, and what other situations that churches engage in where you know and I know that they should be taxed, and therefore creating a separation between church and state, because it is too often that churches have this opportunity to make money off the people and then use that money to make more money, and yet none of that money, that extra money, is taxed. And these politicians should not be able to go into churches, nor should a pastor be able to wield their political pressure on their people. They should be taxed or lose their tax exemption for doing such things. But y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.